Welcome to VoteProPot-Cast, the award-winning cannabis news podcast brought to you by VoteProPot.com. Here are your hosts, Phil Adams, Jay Britton, and Andrew McCreadys.
A 25-year-old mummy was found covered in tattoos and holding a bag of weed. We're going to find out more about that. Also, Jimmy Carter, you remember him, the ex-president, confirms one of Willie Nelson's stories, and we'll tell you about which one. And I think you probably guessed. This is Vote Pro Pot, after all. And one of our favorite musicians, Jerry Garcia's family, introduces their own brand of marijuana product. So we're going to get to that and many other topics. Thank you all for joining us today on Vote Pro Podcast. But first, I'm going to throw it over to Jay Britton, the guy right there. And see, I got the finger pointing right, exact first time. And he's going to give us some more state updates as we get down to the wire.
Because today is election day, isn't it?
Yes.
When we released
today,
this.
Yes.
Today is election day, so we're going to run some polls. We've been talking about...
and I think here at Vote Pro Pot, we're prepared to call it. Marijuana is going to be legal across the country.
Win, 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 right?
You heard it here first, people. We called it first.
Who's going to win this election? Weed is going to win this election.
Weed is going to be the big winner.
Win is
the election.
Let's hope so. Fingers crossed.
Well, let's see what do the polls say, Jay?
Well, I'll tell you what. We've got 5 states with initiatives. We've got Arizona, Mississippi, Montana, New Jersey, and South Dakota. As you know, we've been going through the polls every week.
2 in South Dakota, actually.
2 in South Dakota. So let's go through that real quick. I've got, actually, Phil sent me this. It's a from Leafly Magazine. They've got the results of the most recent polls. And we've got Arizona adult use. Right now, the polls are at 55-37 yes.
Wow.
So that sounds pretty good. Mm-hmm. Mississippi has a medical initiative out, and that one's dead even, 50-50.
Really?
So, yeah, we'll be watching that one closely. It is Mississippi. So 50-50, tied up. Montana's got an adult use, and it's looking good at 49-39.
Wow, nice.
Yeah, so New Jersey has got adult use, and it's they're at 65-29. So like we said last week,
that's pretty much a done deal. I think
Jersey's done, man. Yeah, we're looking real good now. South Dakota is the unusual one because they've got an adult use and a medical. Right, we've talked about that. So here's where they stand. The medical looks really good. It's 74-23. So that's a done deal. I think we're feeling pretty comfortable with that. The adult use is much closer, but still they, have it at the moment at about 51-44. So that's the extent of my all
right. So there's virtually no chance that adult use would pass, but medical would not.
That's what the polls show.
Because that would be, we talked about that before, that would be an odd occurrence.
That would be strange.
Where you'd be allowed to smoke marijuana, but not if you're going to use it for medical.
If you're listening to this show or watching us, and by the way, if you're watching us on YouTube, we're pretty brand new to YouTube. We're trying to build up our video audience, and we have found that it's 2 separate audiences, isn't it? We have a very different podcast audio audience than a video one, and we did a little survey. I did a little survey with some of our regular listeners who stay in touch with us. And I asked them, I sent an email to a bunch and I said, hey, we've got a whole much bigger following on our audio podcast than our video. And we really would like to build the video up. And how do you feel about the video? You know what I heard consistently was...
What did you hear?
I hear, I really enjoy listening to your podcast when I'm driving in my car, when I'm cutting my grass, when I'm in the grocery store with my earbuds on. And the video is not as convenient. So it really is a different audience. Yeah. With that said, if you're watching us on video, do us a favor and hit the subscribe button and hit that little bell icon so that you get notified every time we have a new episode come out, right?
Yep.
Yippee.
Well, that's very good market research, Jay. I'm proud of you.
There's like 12 people, so I don't know.
Well,
no, it was more than that.
What we're looking for is a larger sample size. So.
Right. That's what she said.
I've been doing this Weed Talk News podcast as part of, it's the DC report as part of the Pro Cannabis Media Weed Talk News weekly podcast. And I'm responsible for the inside the Beltway kind of stories. And this week, there just weren't any.
Right.
The only one I found was that the DEA and the Postal Service have come together to unveil a new drug-free USA stamp.
Jeez.
So your tax dollars hard at work on a powerful message to control the use of illicit drugs with a stamp.
What's on the back when you lick it? Anything good?
I don't know. Yeah, maybe put a little LSD.
Man, that's a little secret that nobody knows. 1 out of every 10 stamps.
Well, it's a forever stamp. It costs 35 cents.
Yeah.
But
it's made out of hemp.
Right. But if you want to lick it, it's $1.50.
Well, that's the extent of your DC update this week.
That's it, man. That's
sad.
Well, there's the election this week.
Yeah, we're a little preoccupied.
There's one or two other stories to tell this week.
Well, we hope you all are listening to us on Election Day instead of watching Fox or MSNBC or CNN. We're much more entertaining, don't you think?
Oh, yeah.
That's right. Okay, we're prepared to call it now. New Jersey just legalized marijuana. You heard it here first.
We are projecting adult use the winner in New Jersy.
Understand we're recording this 4 days before the election, so
I have no idea.
Don't listen to us. We don't know what the hell we're talking about.
But it matters what time they're listening to it.
But I think Andrew, all seriousness, Andrew made the point last week that the big winner is going to be cannabis. I think you're right.
I think it is.
And I thought it through. And the thing is, they're going to be really hesitant before they call any major election.
Right.
Just any national
especially
election.
with all the mail-ins and early.
Right, right. So those, they're not going to be calling those, but weed, also it's, no oone's, I don't think a lot of people are going to argue with the results. Right. Or go to call for
recounts. Yeah. And I think you're right because
I think they'll be able to call a winner.
Right. And they're going to need something to say for the hours that they're on there. Because a lot of these races aren't even, they're not even going to be close or they're going to be too close to call.
Right.
And so they got to call something. Well, we got another marijuana initiative. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, that's true.
There's only 5
I think
states.
There's also not only news are doing live broadcasts, but there's some comedy shows that are doing live broadcasts. Like all the late night comedy are broadcasting live.
Are they?
Yeah, they're not going to record
cool.
early.
They're not taping it. Yeah.
I think I would do that. Yeah.
That's
breaking news.
They
did
that 4 years ago. and
it worked for them. Yeah.
Well, Andrew suggested
seems to make sense.
Andrew suggested we do this live for election night.
But only because marijuana is the only thing we'll be able to call live.
That's right.
But then again, like it's going to be who's going to be. Jay's wife will be watching us just to, just see what Jay's doing.
Yeah. It's hard to get people
for
live
shits and giggles. No one's going to.
Yeah, I hear you.
I'm afraid if we do it the day after Election Day, depending on who wins, one of us is going to be kind of catatonic. So
that's right.
It might be you. It might be me.
Well, so it's going to
be. We shall see.
I don't know. I have no idea.
Me either.
I have no idea.
Nope. Nobody does.
So, anyone who says they does is just lying. They just don't know. Well, there is one thing
but if one of them does win, there's a greater chance of me buying a sailboat and living in international waters.
Oh, depending on which one? Yeah, okay.
Yeah. There's one that I would definitely like, man, I think maybe a sailboat.
Maybe the time has come for a sailboat.
Yeah.
Out in international waters.
There you go.
But there is there's something going on in the state of Idaho that is not going to be affected by 2020.
Okay.
See, what happened was they put together this ballot initiative for the 2020 election. And they got it approved and started collecting signatures. But the problem was that the COVID pandemic complicated their signature gathering.
Right.
And the state of Idaho decided they weren't going to make any allowances for that. So
I think there's a big point here is we're talking about Idaho.
I think it's Napoleon Dynamite. That's all I know about Idaho. But go ahead,
right.
Phil. Didn't mean to interrupt.
And potatoes, but
yeah.
Idaho.
But so they're just going to take the same ballot initiative that they were going to do for 2020, and they're going to put it on 2022. And they're going to get the signatures they need, and so that's not going to be affected this time. But
I wonder why they just couldn't put it on the ballot.
Because they didn't have the signatures.
They didn't have the signatures, and they couldn't get the signatures because of COVID. And the
that's the whole thing. Well,
and they wouldn't make any allowances for it. So
don't you think it's kind of ironic? We need a bunch of signatures to get a bunch of signatures.
Yeah.
If all you need is signatures, you're only going to have to collect them once.
But that's how. But think about it, Andrew. You got to do that because if not, you'd have a million initiatives every election. So the problem is they went to court, as I recall, and tried to get the court to say
because of the COVID.
Yeah, let us do it online, and the court said no. So that's
and then the courts are going to put it off until after the election.
Kick it down the road.
Yep. So.
Well, that
was pretty inconsequential. So,
did you say they're going to kick it down the road 2 years or 1 year?
2.
Because there are there's 2022.
Well, but there's elections every year.
I don't know. That's what the advocate said they were going to do. So, I don't know if in Idaho you're allowed to put them on every year elections. Maybe just on the every other year.
Maybe so. Yeah, I don't know.
So I don't know. It's Idaho again.
Yeah. Napoleon Dynamite
and potatoes.
Oh, here, I got another story. And this is, they found another mummy, another 2,500-year-old woman this time, covered in tattoos, and apparently like really cool tattoos. I mean, the kind of
like a hippie chick, huh?
No, like it was I guess it was a hippie chick, but
yeah, cool.
No, they said that I saw some photographs of it, and they would make any hipster like kind of proud. I mean, they were like really nice. They're really nice, cool tattoos.
Pretty inked up.
Nice.
Yeah, and it was Sensimillion. So I mean, it wasn't just. She didn't have a bag of hemp for tea. She was smoking weed.
And what was this chick's name?
Phone number? How old was the mummy?
Nefertiti Smith.
25. She was 2,500 years old.
Wow. No kidding. Wow. That's pretty cool.
Well, what does that tell you? An Egyptian, I presume. I think other cultures do mummies, but it's mostly Egypt.
Well,
actually, the body was found in Siberia.
Oh wow!
Oh okay.
And
it was mummified.
It was mummified. That's one of the reasons that the skin was preserved so well
because it was frozen.
The conditions.
You can grow Sensimilla in Siberia.
2,500-year-old tattooed pot smoking hippie chick. Maybe the climate
was warmer 25 years ago.
Here's my theory. I think cannabis has something to do with time travel.
That could be it.
I think if you get high, you can travel through time.
I've always thought that.
Yeah, that could be it.
From another planet or something.
Well, there you go. We have a lot of mummy stories on here. We should do an archaeology show or something.
Yeah, we should do an archaeology show. And
because I think some of the caves that they used to take people into to go into these trances had like some kind of gas or like they were hotboxing something down there. I came across a story the other day, and I think that the new booming cannabis industry is trying to do their best to when it comes to being environmentally friendly and socially friendly for that matter. But this one company now is they're using, and this is an old. I mean, I did this back in the days back when before I could grow a beard and I was growing weed. And
when you were 7?
Yeah, that really wasn't a good analogy. I started shaving in 6th grade. I take that back. No, but anyway, we were, we would catch ladybugs and put them in, and they would eat all the spider mites. And apparently, there's a company out now that's selling friggin' ladybugs.
No kidding. Where they ship them to you?
Yeah.
So you put ladybugs on your pot plants?
On your plants, yeah, and they ate all the spider mites. And because back in the days, we really, didn't understand a lot. This is back when you had like, fluorescent 4-foot tubes,
Lights,
and
yeah.
you're growing shit, man.
Yeah.
No one had any good strains. We didn't know what we were doing. This is like in the 70s, in the 80s,
Well,
maybe a little bit of the 90s.
I mean, a lot of countries use ladybugs to kill all kinds of critters on their crops. I mean, that's not anything new, but that's interesting. So you can buy a box of ladybugs.
Right.
Yeah.
I just think it's kind of neat that the new industry is trying to be environmentally friendly.
Sure.
I think that's a good
Stay away from the
Even though this
pesticides.
is nothing new. Nothing new at all. But
And ladybug is a cool kind of a bug.
Yeah, they're neat.
There's some bugs that are just disgusting, but ladybugs are cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
So even if you get an infestation of them, it's not the worst thing in the world.
Right.
You know,
They're
they're
cute.
ladybugs.
They're cute.
Yeah.
well, ladybugs, yeah.
Cute and fuzzy with little
But the spider mites will mess your crop up
big time.
big time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and
Well,
there's another.
what really messed my crop up was people finding it.
Yeah, cutting it down.
Every time I tried to grow weed, someone would find it and pull it. One of your favorite people in the world is a fellow by the name of Willie Nelson. You're a big fan of Willie's, right?
That I am.
And
I am
I
too. I love Willie.
I just purchased some of his Willie's proprietary reserve weed, and I like it. I mean, I think it's
it has a high amount of CBD in it, compared to most other strains.
It does, and I can smoke a good amount of it and feel, Now I don't smoke that much anyway. I kind of microdose, but it's a nice buzz.
Nice and laid back.
It a lot.
Yeah.
Now someone else, some other famous person.
Well, Willie
experienced that as well.
Well, I think, let me make a point here. I believe that if you go, you hear some people go, man, the weed nowadays is just so much stronger than it used to be. Well, it is and it isn't. It is stronger, but it also had more CBD in it, the weed that we used to smoke when we were younger. So this Willie Reserve is going to give you a high that's going to it's going to remind you of the high you got when you were back in the 70s, back when all the weed
days, shaking it out on your album.
Right, it had a lot of it had CBD in it. See, now all these growers, not enough they did it purposely, but they sort of,
well, in the 80s, they didn't know about CBD.
Right.
And they were amping up the THC, and it was just not as good of a buzz. It was very powerful.
Right, and it was lowering the CBD. So,
right. Yeah.
So if you like that old weed and you don't want to get too high, this Willie's Reserve, highly recommended.
Very good
highly
stuff.
recommended. Or if you're going to smoke weed for the first time in years, start off with some of Willie's Reserve, especially maybe some flower or vape, and just take a couple hits. Take it low and slow, man. Just take your time.
So the story, been floating around for years, Willie had told, and it's made the rounds, was about him. He said that when he went to visit Jimmy Carter, he had snuck up on the roof of the White House and smoked a joint. So that's been floating around for years, and people have asked him, who'd you smoke the joint with? And he wouldn't say. So there was speculation it was the president. There was speculation it was other folks. So it was released recently. There's a new documentary that just came out on Jimmy Carter. And in that, President Carter actually
is Jimmy. He would want you to call him Jimmy.
He's a great man. Really is a good person. He addresses this, and what he says is, Nelson had previously said in his book, sitting on the roof of the White House in Washington, D.C. late last night, a beer in one hand and a fat Austin torpedo in the other, my companion on the roof was pointing me at all the sights of D.C. down in the streets. I let the weed cover me in a pleasing cloud. I guess the roof of the White House is the safest place to smoke dope. So that was in his book, Willie's book. So what the president has confirmed is that he was smoking with President Carter's son, Chip. Remember Chip? Jimmy?
Yeah.
So
that was the rumor.
Yeah. Well, that was one of the rumors, but it was never confirmed. So now it's confirmed that
President Carter had a son named Chip.
Yeah, don't you remember Chip? I remember Jimmy Carter.
I thought that was Fred McMurray.
Yeah.
One of my three sons.
I knew he had a daughter, Amy. I didn't know he had a son named Chip.
That's what it says. It says, leave
Why
it
don't I even
to
know
who confesses in the trailer, a new document, Jimmy Carter, rock and roll president, that it was his son, James, or Chip. He says his companion was one of the servants in the White House, Carter says. Actually, it was one of my sons. So anyway, big breaking news.
So it wasn't It wasn't Peanut Man himself.
It wasn't Peanut Man.
This brings up a new subject. Like, how much cannabis has been smoked in the White House?
Yeah, that's a good question.
I would be interested to know. Probably more than we might imagine.
You know,
well, I'm sure now. I'm sure what if we really found out? I bet there's going to be some chefs because I'm a chef and I actually worked with some guys who worked at the White House.
Really cool.
Not at the White House, but anyway. Yeah, I can knowing those guys. Yeah, if they were smoking weed, these guys were smoking with them. Yeah.
Well, you know,
but it could be like the staff or even just, even like
Oh, I guarantee you.
I mean, how many people work at the White House?
Right.
A lot of people work at the White House.
I'll tell you one thing. I was talking to a lobbyist, a cannabis lobbyist for one of the big guys, I won't say. And she was telling me that whenever you're talking to, you normally aren't talking to a congressman or a senator. You're talking to a member of their staff.
Right.
And she goes, consistently, without a doubt, they always ask you, got any samples?
Really? Well, you know,
I'm trying to get you to vote on legalizing weed.
The Beatles used to tell a great story about when they met the Queen. Remember that story? When they got their MBEs and they went to meet the Queen, and I don't remember that. They dodged off into one of the men's rooms and smoked a big fatty.
Oh yeah,
yeah, remember that?
I just heard about that the other day. Yeah, they were so nervous they went to stick it out.
And this was like 1965 or something or whatever it was, 66. Yeah. So anyway, so that's our big breaking news of the day.
Wow,
Chip Carter smoked a fatty with Willie. Lucky bastard. While I'm on the subject,
you want to bet the Queen can tell if you're high.
It's probably not. Well, she wasn't 125 years old back then.
Oh, they smell like the Beatles. You smell like the Beatles.
Speaking of celebrities, we've got another celebrity piece of news here. Jerry Garcia's family has announced and is starting to release some products under Jerry Garcia's name and a brand of cannabis products. They're making some pre-rolls. They've got some gummies and so forth. So the effort is being spearheaded by Garcia's daughter, Trixie, who says she wanted to create a cannabis experience that would bring people together in a way only Jerry could. So guess where they're marketing this to begin with, besides dispensers?
San Francisco.
Yes. And they are going to music festivals. So there you go. Right. So it's totally Jerry Garcia. Yeah, they got some gummies and some pre-rolls and stuff. So if you're a deadhead, and they've got pictures on some of the packaging that some of the artwork that Jerry Garcia actually did. And using some of his music to market it and stuff. So there you go.
You got the Garcia ties.
Boy, everybody's jumping on the bandwagon. I mean,
so what do you think about that, guys? I mean, Jerry Garcia's been dead for, 20 years now.
Yeah.
Oh, at least.
And he may not be grateful.
Well, but
he sure is dead.
It's celebrities. We're seeing that.
So I know, but
this market's going to be so huge. That's why you've got celebrities. You've got giant corporations like Coca-Cola.
Well, but why would you want to buy something just because it had Jerry Garcia's name on it?
I don't know. Maybe I'm a fan of Jerry Garcia.
If you're a
big deadhead,
sure.
Hey, man, I got to tell you, there are guys. I worked with this guy one summer back in the late 70s. His name was Rudy. He was from fucking New York. And Rudy was working the whole goddamn summer just to make enough money to follow the Dead on their fall tour.
Oh yeah, absolutely, man.
He didn't give a damn about his rent or nothing.
These guys will spend $150 on a T-shirt, so you don't think they're going to go lay out a little cash for some weed that has Garcia's painting on it? Absolutely.
This guy, I went over to his house once at lunch to smoke a joint, and we were at his apartment, and he brought out his tapes and all of the music he had. He had nothing but bootleg Dead concerts. Oh, yeah. Nothing. And I said, is that all you've got is just bootleg Dead? He said, no, I got other music. I said, well, what do you have? He said, well, I got an Allman Brothers and a half a Marley.
Yeah, really.
How is that?
Not to deviate into another path here, but it's kind of interesting how popular that band was. And if you look at record sales, they're a blip. They made. I mean, because they gave their music away. They played shows.
They only had one like pop hit,
right?
And that was in the 80s.
Was it in the 80s?
Their only top 10 hit.
I thought it was
"Touch of Grey."
Touch of Grey. That was in the 80s, right? Okay. So,
but their music and their following was so loyal.
Unbelievable. Yeah, extremely.
So loyal, and their music was just hit a certain niche at a certain. It just.
Well, did you ever see them?
Scratched them where they itched. You know.
No, I never saw
Yeah,
them.
I've seen them live twice. I wasn't a big fan, but one thing, you're a musician. You're a musician now. I remember when I saw the Dead. I remember going. Now they play these songs differently every time. I mean, there's no
they're a jam band.
Rehearsed
Right.
show. They're a jam band.
Yeah, they're
time.
a jam band, and that's fine. I mean, I remember.
It was all about the jam, man. So,
The concert just went on, and I fell asleep at one point. And,
That's because of the acid.
I was out for like, I think it was just I was tired,
Yeah.
and I was out for like 15 minutes, and when I woke up, they were still playing the same songs. But that's okay.
Yeah, no, that's totally
so
cool.
now, but the other thing about a Garcia brand cannabis line is that, well, I guess there's still younger people who are getting into.
Oh yeah, I got a
Dead.
nephew who's 30 years old. He fucking loves them, man. He loves them. So it's
their following is just so
huge,
loyal. I mean,
huge.
they just whatever it is about this band that and they're a good band. I mean, I like their music. I'm not a Deadhead or a huge fan of them, but I like the music.
Yeah.
But it just hits certain people just right where they live. So, and that's great.
right. Shit, John Mayer
I'm
tours.
just talking
John
about,
Mayer tours.
I'm
with
talking
him
about celebrity endorsing and celebrity products. Licensing deals.
Right. And I'm not so much given to the celebrity endorsements as some other people are.
I think this will do well. I really do.
Willie is active in Willie's Reserve. So I mean, he has
and Jim Belushi.
These are guys getting their hands dirty.
His hands are in the dirt. I mean, he's actually. I mean, he's big time involved, and is also doing really well. I like Jim Belushi. I do too. Can't wait till his products, if they ever make it to Maryland. Come on, Jim, get on over here. But I don't know. I think it's interesting. So, and different age groups. I mean, do you think celebrity endorsements in weed is going to be a huge thing?
Sure. Like it is in tennis shoes and beer and everything else. Of course it is. Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's huge.
Yeah, they wouldn't do it if it wasn't. And if the Garcia family can make some money off it, more power to them.
That's true.
I mean, you watch commercials on Sunday watching football, and what percentage of the commercials have celebrities on them? Pretty decent. Yeah, pretty decent.
Now, a lot of them have celebrity voiceovers that you don't know, but if you listen to it, you can hear it. And say, that is Morgan Freeman.
Right, exactly, yeah.
Now, Andrew, you having been a trained chef, there's it's a French word for a wine steward. What do you call it? Somebody who's
sommelier.
Sommelier? I wasn't sure it was sommelier or sommelier.
Some people I've heard it pronounced
it's way
sommelier.
too French for this redneck sitting right here. But now we have
sommelier.
Now we have a ganjier.
That was the word I was searching for.
Ganjier. Okay.
A ganjier.
You can actually get a certificate as a ganjier. So what happened is these 18 professionals got together and they created this business. You can take online courses. These are all experts. I mean, top shelf experts in the field of cannabis who've been in it for a long time. And it's 18 folks, and they come from the world of cultivation, distribution, genetics, product formulation, retail advocacy, science, extraction, laboratory testing, and cannabis law.
Gamut.
So they have courses in each one of these things. When you complete all these courses, and they spent more than 8,000 hours combined putting these courses together. So this is a legitimate thing. They developed a systematic assessment protocol, which they call the SAP. And then what you do is you go and you take these courses and you get a certificate, and like you do with wine, it's the same. Or they have the same kind of thing for tobacco and other, fine products to kind of experts.
They call it fancy
food, and they rate coffee and tobacco and obviously wine. So they rate these products based on
olive oil,
based on a bunch of criteria that they develop. Really? So anyway,
olive oil and vinegar.
So this is the new thing now, and they feel pretty strongly about it. And you can go out and get your certificate. Commitment to standards and quality and services. There are so many ways. And my question was, well, So you get the certificate. What are you going to do with it, right?
Yeah, where does a ganjier work?
Right, that's what I was saying. Well,
where does a sommelier work?
I guess it says
At
here
a
there would be
any place selling wine.
They'd be a trusted guide for cannabis consumers. They perform critical discernment of quality for, I guess, magazines and so forth. Inform retail buyers of what to expect. So they would work for huge distributors or, a chain of dispensaries and recommend, maybe they're going to start grading products. Like they do with wine.
We're talking about the appellation system already, right? So, it's sort of getting somewhat ready for the day when you can start buying California weed on the East Coast. But, that... And just sort of strains grown indoor. I mean, it's... Well,
like for wine and tobacco, they have ratings. So when you go into a tobacco shop, they have ratings on cigars, right? You're a cigar smoker, Phil. So you can find out what this cigar is a 5-star, 2-star, 4-star.
But not only that, you just understand the particulars of a given cigar in terms of the gauge, the size, the length, and
what kind of flavor,
the wrappers and stuff like what kind of. So you know what you like, and this you have guidance to give you what you're looking for.
This kind of catches me off guard because I have trouble really seeing the potential of this, but I could be totally wrong. I mean, who really?
Well, I get it. I get it because there's so many strains. And you have types, and you have strains, and you have your indicas and sativas, and you have your hybrids. And then you have, different products. Not only that, you have different concentrates. You have flour. You have oils now.
True.
And there's people that can judge these, and all of them, and especially the concentrates, or even the growing aspect. It's an art form to kind of do
definitely.
it.
Well, they do it with craft beer too, Andrew.
Like they do with craft beer or wine.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think it's a great development.
Yeah, it's cool.
I hope these guys
I don't know,
are successful.
We have Faye in the graduate program in Maryland for the medical thing. Maybe I should take this course.
I was just going to suggest that. You can become...
You'd be a natural.
Yeah, ganjier.
You could teach the damn thing.
Right.
Ganjier, man.
Ganjier, dude.
Andrew McCready's ganjier.
Yeah, the rents would be proud.
Well, folks, once again, thank you very much for being a part of our humble podcast. We love having you along. Have we just been talking?
Yeah, we've been kind of bullshitting this shit.
Just throwing shit out
Did we even talk about
it's
weed at all?
election day, guys, so what the fuck,
It is election day.
We don't take it too seriously.
Congratulations if your candidate wins, and if your candidate doesn't win, better luck next time. But in the meantime...
our guy won. His name is Herb.
Herb, yes. Weed is the winner on this year's election.
Herb's the big winner today.
Herb. Anyway.
Herb and Mary Jane.
The power couple.
The power couple.
So, but if you enjoyed the show, please go online to Apple Podcasts. Give us a 5-star rating. Tell a friend
Helps us
about
a lot.
us.
Please do that.
Yeah, just spread the word about VotePro-Podcast. If you're enjoying it, I'm sure you know somebody else who will as well. Jay, tell us how to get in touch.
Well, you can send us an email at podcast@VoteProPot.com, and we have a message line. Please call our message line. Give us some ideas for segments or your feedback on anything that we did today in the show. Give us your feedback. Just say hello, whatever. We'll play it on the show. And, don't forget about YouTube. Hit the subscribe button. And hit the little bell.
The little bell icon.
Hit the little bell icon. Andrew, what do you got, buddy?
And this will be the last time you'll hear me say this for a while. Because if Jay did his job and he released this early in the day, like you really should release this at 4:20 in the morning on Election Day. Okay? So there might be some people listening to this podcast on their way to work.
Yeah.
Or on their way to the polls. Right. In other words, you might be hearing this and you still might have a chance to vote. So get out there and vote. Grab a friend. Kidnap somebody. There you go. Kidnap somebody and take them to the polls.
Make them vote.
If you can want to find out more about the cannabis industry or the politics or just lifestyle in general, you can find out more on our social networking platforms. So just go to LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter and do a search for Vote Pro Pot.